Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us this morning. She said I could say morning still, actually. We're here to talk about continuous delivery, and that's not possible without pair programming. My name is Asgeir Mjølne Sødvom. I'm a senior developer in Sparebank 1, which is one of the biggest banks in Norway. And I've been developing for 19 years, and I still love programming.
Hi, my name is Ola Hast, also a developer at Sparebank 1. Also love coding.
Yeah,
let's get started.
Let's get started. Sorry.
Is your clicker working?
So, in October 2020, I started as a developer in Sparebank 1 Utvikling. I knew it was an agile company, focusing on people, culture, and everything, and they had this slogan. They said it, which is better together, is bedre sammen in Norwegian. But you never know how it is before you actually get to the company and start. So after working there for about a month, I was in a meeting, and they said that you're not allowed to do pair programming for the rest of the year. This was in November 2020. And I was shocked. I was sitting back home back then. It was the pandemic, and my wife was working at home as well. And she said she'd never seen me this angry in a work professional setting before. But that's when we decided to start to do something.
At the same time, we had a survey on meeting culture. We like to measure things in Sparebanken. It can get kind of annoying sometimes, but it helps us keep a feel for the temperature in the company. And we had a survey on meeting culture. And 82% of the respondents, I think it was about 600, they said that they felt that they were working on too much at the same time. So the work in progress, or VIP as we'll refer to it, was very high. And 72% wanted 4 hours of uninterrupted focus time per day, but only 20% of us actually had it. Yep. So something was not right. So what we did, we actually had a series of meetings and workshops about us having too many meetings. So it didn't quite solve the problem. At the same time, we had visitors, breakfast visitors from the Norwegian Welfare and Labor Administration. They are the ones who handle welfare and unemployment benefits and so on in Norway, which is about 1/3 of our national budget. And the guys were Terje and Julian, and they told us that they pair programmed everything. They put every commit straight into production. They have dropped all test environments, and they got rid of the pull requests. And we thought, we're a bank. We can't do this. 1/3 of the national budget is nothing. So, but by then we started thinking, maybe we should try something like this.
Yeah. We are doing cooperation with someone called Sintef Digital. They're an independent researchers or scientists sponsored by the government, right? Yeah, and this guy here, Nils Bredemo, he's the chief scientist, or we refer to him as a chief researcher. They are researching across the Nordic region, so they are like in big companies around Norway. They are in Spotify, Ericsson, a lot of different places, and they're trying to see how we can have better efficient teams. So we'll refer to him during this presentation and his findings, which will back up some of our experience. So back to 2021, me and Ola, we were working in a team called the My Economy team, which was responsible for all the expenses, showing like a forecast of what you're going to use and how much you used on travel, etc. And it was a great team with the usual suspects: front-end, back-end developers, designers, product leaders, agile coaches, everything.
Well, you were working. I was enjoying the benefits of the Norwegian welfare and administration.
Still in the team. Okay, but we had some problems in this team. We're focusing on too much on the individuals and not as much on the team. So this is like normal questions that would arise on a stand-up. How is your task going? Can someone approve my pull request? So it's a lot of focus on the persons. Have you figured out the critical bug yet? And then our favorite one, are we on track with your task?
This is the team pretending that they actually care about you.
Yeah. And then we have the researcher, Nils Bredemo. He says when he sees something like this, then this is not a team. This is just a group of individuals with their own goals, working, not caring about the team. So it doesn't smell like a team, he says. Yeah. But at this time, we had a great Agile coach. She's called Marte Fleischer, and she saw this problem in the team. So she said, we're working in something called the radical focus model, which means we work in weekly cycluses. We plan some stuff on Monday, and then we work during the week, and we have some ceremony on Friday. So she said, this week, I want the team to only have 3 main tasks. So even though we were 6, 7 developers, we were forced to work on fewer tasks. And this made a difference. So what happened after a while working like this was we had a main task like this, with some other tasks that are not that important, but these 3 are the main task for the week. And then these are just simple checklists. It's not in any issue tracking system or something like that. But most important of all, there's no assigned person to the task. There are not any tasks that are like, you are responsible for this task. It's the team that is responsible to achieve this task during this week. So let's look at the classic setup with high VIP or work in progress. You have 6 different tasks, and then you have 6 developers. That's perfect. This is a Monday we're planning for the week. And then we see that 2 of these tasks are not that big, so we add 2 more tasks. So we have 8 tasks for these 6 developers. And then we start working, and on Tuesday morning, there are 2 other tasks coming, 2 bugs flying in. And then we have 10 tasks in progress for this 6 developer. And then the chaos starts, because this team, they are trying to be a little bit modern. They slice tasks, they try to do rapid deployments to production, but that's nearly impossible. Because all of these, since they are working with each their things, they have to interrupt each other, because we have pull requests and we have code reviews, and then you have communication to solve your task and everything. So it breaks down immediately. It's not possible.
Yeah, and the only person who is happy with this is the project manager.
Yeah,
because everybody's
the traditional project manager.
Yeah, because everybody's got more than enough to do.
Yeah,
no one is idle.
But it's pretty easy to see, because they also maybe require meetings. They have to communicate with other teams, so everything just breaks down. And what happens then pretty fast is that they start to build bigger tasks. And everyone knows what happens when you build bigger tasks, like you have bigger code reviews, the risk increases, and so forth. That's another talk, but anyway.
We have a solution.
We have a solution. It's called pair programming. If you put these guys into pairs, then the problem with the code reviews, with the interruption, everything is just solved immediately. Pull requests are eliminated, the time used for pull requests are eliminated to 0, because it's done through the pairs when they're working. Also, we have some rotation. So during the week, the pair maybe do some rotation, and then also the knowledge is spread just as the way we are working. So we don't have to have any knowledge sharing sessions or meetings or stuff like that. It's just part of how we work. And then we create some time buffer, because it's always stuff coming along as we work during the week. And as we said, this is the continuous delivery with pair programming really coming into play.
Another important thing, which comes from Agile, is stop starting and start finishing. Everyone knows it's a lot of fun to start things. Finishing things, however, is a lot more difficult. Anybody who's done any renovation knows that getting the last bit of trim on never happens. But what we saw after a while on our team was that instead of starting new tasks, people started asking, Does someone have something going on that I can help with to finish? And then Bård Christian has said, you can join me, and we can listen to Taylor Swift. But what Nils Brede says about this is that this is the hallmark of a really good team. It smells like a good team, as he says.
Yep.
Because here the team actually cares more about the goals of the team than their individual goals.
Yeah. The research shows that the psychological safety in the teams, there's no better way to build psychological safety than with pair programming. One other thing we recently saw as well was there was research about happiness, how happy all people are in different countries in the world. And some of the main things that everyone should learn, like the kids and everything, is that you should have 2 things you do every day. You should thank someone and you should ask someone for help. And I think that fits really good into the agile thinking. All right, so back to this, what Ola talked about Nav there, and they did this rapid deployment to production and no test environments and stuff, and we wanted to test this. So me and this guy, Geir Olav, he's a full stack developer. Me and Ola were getting a bit old, so we don't understand that they actually exist.
No, we actually refer to them as unicorns, because we actually don't think
he's like under 30 here, and he can do like everything. He can do React, and he can do Kotlin, and he can do SQL and everything. It's amazing. But anyway, the task we were given is that here you can see a transaction coming in. It's from, it says Adam and Eva Jakob Aals. That's my hairdresser. And our clever machine learning doesn't understand that that is a hairdresser. So we want the customers, or our customers, to be able to choose the category. So that could be visible on future transactions. So then you have to choose the main and subcategory. This is a perfect task, involves everything: machine learning, front end, Kotlin domain, SQL, whatever. So it's a perfect task for trying out this stuff. So I'm going to show a little bit how we started out. We have an API called API Transaction, which is about it's the heart of the bank, where all the transactions flow through. Then we have the front-end part of my economy, going into a REST call into transaction resource, the classic setup, transaction service, hitting some adapters, hitting some back-end systems. So the classic way would maybe be to create a database to store these customer categories and build yourself up. But instead, we broke in the middle of the heart of the API, and then we made a small service, and then we add a feature toggle. And to this feature toggle, we said that if it's me or it's Geir Olav, then show this certain category in production, because that's what we wanted to test. So we deployed this to production, and we could see it in production.
Didn't go quite according to plan, did it?
No, it actually didn't go so well. So what happened was that we, since we went into the heart of the transaction service, we messed up the order of the transaction. So all our 1.2 million customers got incorrect orders of all the transactions. But no one dies if transactions is incorrect order. And it was easy. We got alarms on this, and it was easy to roll forward, because the change was so small that we knew exactly where it should be. So that's a good example. If that was part of a big release, it could maybe difficult to find, but we didn't even get nervous. We just fixed it. And then we continued, did changes to the domain layer, changes to REST endpoints, design. We had feature toggles in the design. All of these were just deployments to production all the time, small deployments. And refactoring is a good point, actually, because usually when we worked before and we came to a major refactor, they said, we have to wait to the next pull request. We can't do all this refactoring now. We have to wait. But since
that means never, by the way.
Yeah, that's never.
If anyone's confused, that means never. It ain't happening.
Yeah, we forget as well. But since we are committing to main all the time, and we're in sync with main, then we can just step aside, and then we can do the refactoring, and then we can go back again. And then we also have something that we like to do when we program. We have interfaces. And then we, behind these interfaces, we just create implementations with just hash maps and caching the domain objects. And this puts us into a situation where we don't have to care about the backend integrations at all. What do you usually say about that?
This is actually a really nice architectural principle that you postpone the decision to the last responsible minute. So we have had several instances where we thought that we needed a database, but when we came to the end and were going to decide on a storage mechanism, we saw that we could just use a cache, or the other way around, that we actually care about this data, so we have to store them somewhere safely.
Yeah, and this also fits very well into this way of working. So all the way in the end, we have a category with Postgres, and we have some machine learning adapters, and then we develop these and we test them. So we get this separation of concerns principle as well coming in. Everything here fits into the continuous delivery way of working. Yeah, and in the end, we remove all the feature toggles and these cache implementations. But this way of working, we saw it pretty fast. It's not possible if you're working alone. If you're working alone and sitting doing all these small steps, then your decision will be, you have to take too many decisions yourself, so you automatically build bigger stuff again. So after a month on doing this new feature, we had about 50 commits to this Jira task. And then we saw another consequence of this working as well. That was that Jira or any issue tracking system was not necessary, because we would been using more time moving the tasks in Jira between, like, in state, in progress and done and everything that we do on programming. So pretty quickly we just added everything to this same task. But now after this was like the last time we used Jira and issue tracking system. Now we don't see any purpose with it anymore.
We actually just stopped using it to see if anybody would notice. Nobody did.
And the pull request part as well, it's amazing because there's so many people using so much time on pull requests, but we reduced it to 0. It was nothing, it was just a way of working. And the only thing we wanted to try was to do small tasks and go rapid into production. That all of the other parts, they just came as consequences of this way of working. It was not a goal to stop pull requests. It was never a goal to stop with test environments that you are going to talk a little bit about.
Yeah, as he said, another consequence was how we worked with our environments. We like to do TDD, which means that we always have a good base of unit tests that helps us do changes and refactorings safely and confidently. What we used to do was that we usually had some scripts that started Docker Compose and had mocks of our backend systems, maybe some databases, and then we had some scripts on the top, like, I don't know if anyone's used Postman or just some Java tests. But the feedback loop was just too long. So we stopped doing it. It just didn't make any sense. Another thing was that since we built so small things and had so good tests, then when we got to the test environment, there was not really much to test. We still have a test environment because a lot of other teams are dependent on our APIs. So we have a test environment, but we don't really use it ourselves. And another fun thing about our pipeline is that our production deployment has more resources, so it's usually deployed to production before it goes into test, since both are automatically. We used to have a pilot Q&A type environment, but we solve all of that now with feature toggles. I don't know how much wasted resources are around on environments that are dead most of the time, but I'm guessing it's a lot.
Yeah, I guess we could say all the 3 boxes in the middle here are waste.
Yeah, so poof. So what we ended up with was we had our local test environment, and then we deployed to production, and everything in between just didn't make sense anymore. It wasn't part of some master plot, but it just happened.
Yeah.
We didn't need it.
And we love when things just happen as a way of working instead of someone else telling how to do it. So over to another part about focus, flow, and speed. This picture here is from the very northern part of Norway. It's called the Lyngen Alps, just outside of Tromsø. Me and my wife, we went on this trip. We lived on a boat, not that boat, but a bigger, better boat, and went around the fjord, and we went with the guide up to the mountains and skied down again for a week. So that was our flow that week, was powder skiing and having fun. But our flow in here looks more like this. But flow is still it's an amazing state. When you come into flow, you know what you're doing. You know what your next step is. You're just having really good time developing. And
hey, can you approve my pull request?
Then that comes along. And what our researcher Nils Brede say is that if you get interrupted with something that is not what you're doing, then it takes around 15 minutes to get back into flow state. And what happens if you get into flow state several times an hour?
If you get interrupted, well, you don't get any work done at all. If you get interrupted like 3 or 4 times an hour, then you spend 15 minutes each time, then you can just go home.
Yeah, exactly. You get into this looking like a little bit like this. So, and in addition, if you have notifications on Slack, for example, I guess many people use Slack, and then you click on this little icon because you attempt to click on it, and you come into Slack, and that lights up like a Christmas tree with all the small dots, and then you have the threads, and then you get yourself lost into Slack.
We love Slack.
Yeah, we love Slack. We don't want to go back to mail, but you have to turn off the notifications if you're working alone. But of course, we have a solution to this as well, and that is pair programming. This is Ola and Stian. Stian, sitting there actually, are working together. And what our researchers say as well, when we work together, it's like creating a buffer zone around the people who are working. They are not doing anything else than doing the stuff that relates to the task. And that is pretty unique, because we're sitting alone, you get interrupted all the time. But if Ola here is starting to answer questions on Slack, then Stian is standing there idle. So that would be totally unnatural. So it solves by itself. And when you have 2 people going into flow with pair programming, then you get significantly, measurably higher quality than if you're working alone as well. Yeah, and this is an important part also to think about when you're comparing 2 people working in parallel, and when there are 2 guys working together, because we sometimes get that question. Because the quality they create is so much higher, so the rework afterwards are much less. We can see that when we have been working together, doing continuous delivery and stuff like this. We have very few bugs. And it's easy to change the system afterwards.
Another thing is that our team leader, he said that when there's 2 people working together, it's really scary to go over and interrupt them. But if someone's sitting alone in the corner, then you're just free game. Another important thing is how you're seated.
This is how we are seated.
Yes. This is our little nook. And what the first thing we did when we moved in was that we moved the desks out so that we're sitting with our backs to each other. And like everyone else, we have chairs with wheels, so we can just spin around and work together and move around. And another thing is that we have whiteboards. We have whiteboards on both sides. As you can see, I don't even have to get up out of my chair to write on the whiteboard.
We had lunch with the Sintef guys, and there was one of the researchers from Spotify, and she said when they put in a whiteboard inside a team, the communication inside the team went up by 50% just by adding the whiteboard, because you get this innovative, creative work immediately just drawing. So that's an important tip.
And where we were seated before this, we had a whiteboard that was about 7-10 meters away.
Yeah.
And it said Happy Easter in November. So it has to be close. But all of this, working like this, can get really intense. So it's really important to take breaks. And by taking breaks, I mean really good breaks without any monitors or screens. Do like these guys, go for a walk, get some air, just do something else. If the worst thing you can do is check Slack or email or something like that, because then you get sucked into something completely else, and when everybody else comes back from their coffee break or whatever, then you're even more tired than before the break.
So this is also from the research from Sintef. They say that this is one of the most common things is that people get very exhausted.
Yeah. It's one of the main feedbacks we get, that if people don't rotate and take breaks, they get your head gets like mush.
Yeah, mush.
So let's look at a day in our lives. Usually we start at like 8 and 8:30 in the morning, do some admin stuff, and then we have a few meetings during the day where I have a meeting, you have a meeting, we have lunch. One thing though is we Norwegians, we eat lunch at 11, which I guess is super early for everyone else. So what we see is that from 9 till lunch, we have a block where we can work. Then we can do some solo programming in between. And then we have a spot on the end of the day where we also can program together. And you're allowed to solo program, but it gets really difficult after a while because you don't have anyone to spar with or talk with. So you start second guessing every single decision you take. What would Oscar think? But the most important thing is that the task gets love all day. You don't switch tasks when the other person is away. Preferably, you're a bigger team than just the two of us. We're 4 now, so it's not that much solo programming anymore. But the task gets love every day, and all day, actually. And no knowledge is lost. So when this guy goes on his annual surfing trip to Morocco, he can just leave. I know everything. The rest of the team knows everything. Yeah. He has nothing he has to hand off. He has no pull requests to close, no long-lived branches that needs to be
I actually talked to another guy from another company, and he said the complete opposite. When he leaves, then he has to finish everything, as Ola say. So he could just sit on the plane and relax because his own nothing is left from him. But I could just leave. And this is, of course, nice when you go to Morocco for surfing, but that also applies for if you get sick or your children get sick, which happens way too often. And then, if we have other stuff going on, we're just away, then the work just continues. When I started in Sparebanken, it was the pandemic, so I was sitting a lot from home. We had this 2 o'clock coffee on Teams where we supposed to get to know each other, but I never got to know anyone in these 2 o'clock meetings. When I actually got to know people was when me and Vidar, who is sitting there, raise your hand, when we were working together, then we actually got to know each other. We can talk about other things than just programming as well. And I could ask all the questions and really got to know how this company works. And this guy, Ivan, I worked with him for a year remotely, and then I met him in JavaZone. And then I noticed something weird, and that was actually the first time I saw his legs. I never seen his legs, but I felt I knew him. But we still work in a bit remotely, most at the office, but some hybrid and remote, and it works well. This guy here, called Bård Christian, he was onboarded in our team. And we can start by saying what we're not doing when we're onboarding.
We find a suitable task in the backlog.
Yeah, that's like the worst thing you can do. It's like you see this new guy coming in, then you try to measure his level. Is he junior, senior? How good is he? And then you should find this task that is suitable for him, and he should do it. And after he have done it, you should like, this new guy. He's a good developer. But instead, we do the complete opposite. We just put them directly into what we're doing anyway. And then we switch every 15 minutes who is writing and who is looking, and they go into the task very quickly. We've done this a lot of times, and it works perfectly.
Another thing is that he said that it was also a good place to ask all the stupid questions when you start somewhere, like where's the good coffee, how do I find the HR systems and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have to batch them up and hope he can interrupt someone later.
And I think this is an important thing to do anyway. You just have to narrow down the scope of what you're doing. As long as the new guys can do some if and else and spring and stuff, they can be productive. And he's putting code into production from day one, then the motivation goes up. And what Nils Brede said, researcher, he said, if you work like this, there's a much bigger chance that the people stick in the company for a longer time as well.
And the team.
Yeah, and the team. There's one thing that everyone in here has in common that you do every day, and that is that you waste time on non-valuable stuff. We call this the waste clock in our team, and we say that now we're starting the waste clock. We're doing that all the time. It can be just for starting a meeting and someone doesn't...
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? That happens.
Am I sharing the screen?
Yeah. But then if you go to developers are special. Because developers, for example, when I started, we had a build that took around 2 minutes to build. And I was used to Quarkus, which is something really fast. And I asked, how can this build take 2 minutes? And then I got the answer that's just how the world is. And then I was saying this is how the world is, and the other was sitting there, and the other teams, and then suddenly these 2 minutes multiply up with all the developers in all the company, in the whole company every day. And then it gets really expensive. But when you're pair programming and you're sitting watching this 2-minute build the first time, it's like we drink some coffee and it's okay.
The next time it gets awkward.
But next time it's like, it feels really weird, and then, yeah, we have to fix this. We have to do something about it. And that's what happens all the time. So we reduce waste all the time by working together instead of just sitting there and it's just how the world is.
Yeah, if you're 2 or 3 people working together and things are going too slowly, then you start plotting. How can I fix this?
Yeah, and we also see it's a little bit funny about leaders, because leaders, they don't know what we're doing, so they're just fine with all this slow builds. But I think if you add up all this time that we use on non-valuable stuff waiting, that would be the top priority of the company. But sadly, it's not. Now, I hope that you're a little bit inspired to work like us. But we have seen we can do some inspiration around, but when it all comes down to it, you have to start doing stuff. So we came up, me and Ola, with something we called pair or mob program interventions. It actually also now apply for other type of work than programming. But yeah, first of all, to get people to come, we need cinnamon rolls. If you have cinnamon rolls, then developers will come. So you need something to get them come. And then we have given periods for 3 or 4 weeks that they have to test working together. The only requirement they have, there's 2 requirements. One requirement is they have to book a pair programming session in their calendar twice a week. Everyone has time for that if they book it. And then they have to rotate who's writing and who is not every 15 minutes, because we've seen this, for example, a senior, he's just showing a junior how to do it for 2 hours, and then they call it pair programming, but it's not.
Yeah, someone watching someone else program is not pair programming, it's surveillance.
Yeah.
I don't know who said it, but...
And then we have Sintef, they love this. They now also write a scientific article about this way of introducing a way of working. So they will do surveys and observations and everything. And then you have something social in the end. And we have done this many times. We've done it on single teams, on areas or tribes or whatever you call it. And it works very well. So our newest, hottest way of introducing is called job shadowing. So this guy, Magnus, he's from another team. And he is invited into our team for a week, and then we just put him into what we're doing for a week, and then we can really stress test the way we're working, onboarding, and everything. And we tested this for a month ago, and it worked splendid. He came up to speed. He was delivering from day one, and then he can go back to his team and maybe do something
And we're
similar.
going to follow him back into his team and follow up and help them get started as well.
Yeah. So to summarize all this, this is our team, and we're now 4 people. With Ola. Ola, you can raise your hands as well. We're sitting doing test-driven development, domain-driven design, and really focusing on quick feedback. We do tiny changes, putting up to the CI server and get feedback if anything is broken. We do feature toggles in production, and we do monitoring, and we raise alarms if anything goes wrong, and then we have a feedback loop on this whole circle. And this whole circle is the scientific way of working, which we think brings the highest quality. You get the whole, putting it into production takes around 5 minutes, so we get super fast feedback of how it's actually working. And this, again, this gave a lot of consequences. That was never a goal. But we reduced waste. We don't have any slow tests anymore. We worked a lot on that. We don't use any time on pull request. We have a pull request requirement, but we create the pull request and then we approve it in 2 seconds because it's already done. We have a special thing, I think, with the building branches.
Yeah, we stopped doing it because since the same tests that run on our machine are the same that runs on the branch build never failed. So why do it? We just stopped doing it.
Yeah, this saves money on the cloud as well. The test environments, we don't use test environments anymore. We also work with clients in the bank doing totally new features where they are sitting testing stuff in a production environment, which they also love because then they don't have to care about setting up all the test data. And testers as well, with that speed we have, I don't know how we should fit in testers, but we have to test ourselves. Status meeting is reduced to 0 because, or not 0, but a minimum. One, yes. Because we're talking to each other all the time when we rotate and everything. Knowledge sharing sessions, definitely, that's 0.
0.
Yeah, because we share the knowledge when we work. End-to-end testing, the whole circle here is the end-to-end test. We don't do any end-to-end tests more than that. Issue tracking tools are not used anymore. We just use simple Confluence or whatever tool to make checklists. Handoffs is something of the most important parts. When we see that we are dependent on other teams, then it just stops.
The circle breaks down, basically.
Yeah, the DBAs are example when we're not allowed to do changes in the database. So we moved everything so we can handle all those stuff ourselves. And of course, this is not possible without working together. It would be impossible to do all these small steps sitting there alone. Me and Ola were working in a team for the account part of Sparebank 1. So we have 30 million requests every day from 1.2 million customers, which is a lot in Norway. I don't know, it's not a lot here maybe, but in Norway that's a lot. But still though, I'm more worried when I'm sending out an Outlook invitation to 300 people internally, if I misspelled something, than I am when we're putting things into production here, because I'm so convenient with the whole way we've been working. And this gives some great quality as well. We can have one thing we can say that we achieved. What is that?
I have no idea.
No, we were ranked as the #1 mobile bank in 2024.
Oh, yes.
So we have to do something, right? So back to where we started. Nils Brede, he's talking to leaders across the company. And he said that the company is on a completely different level now. The leaders now applauding. They want us to work more together. They want us to have interventions and all of that stuff. So we're at a better place. There was one other guy, developer, who said that we have almost reached modern software nirvana in our team. And that may be cool, but that's not that's not completely true. We want to embrace change, and tomorrow maybe AI is coming.
Yeah.
And then we have to change, and I think that's the most important part, that we are on a stage that where we can change things. So maybe next year is about AI. All right, thank you very much. If you could scan this, it would be awesome. Takes about 1 minute to answer.
Yes,
we
and
can
we're
ta den
open.
først. Ta den først da.
Afterwards,
just
we're open
wait.
for questions.
Yeah.
How do we report our status to management?
Oh, okay. On Mondays, we had this one status meeting that we need to have called Monday Commitment, and then we're talking with our team lead. And our team lead always know what we are doing, and she is looking after that. We're doing the prioritized work.
Yeah, she's also our product leader, so she
that's true.
so she coordinates with all the other product leaders and stuff like that. And we have quarterly goals. That's almost a different talk about OKRs and all that stuff.
OKRs, yes.
Yeah, but basically we have very loose goals from the top, and we just work within those bounds.
Any other questions?
I guess there first.
About the job shadowing concept, does it a person from the different team that joins your team, does he have enough functional knowledge of the team applications as well?
Does he have functional knowledge about our team?
Yes.
Who?
Magnus, the guy in the job shadowing.
Oh, yeah.
Not really. He knows the domain since he also works in the bank. So, but that's part of the point, that if what you're working on is small enough, then the need for deep domain knowledge is limited.
Yeah, I think this removes that part earlier when we had to use several months to get up to speed in a team. When you slice that down to very minimum, they can be productive from the very beginning, and then they just learn the domain and everything as they go, and it's a much more motivating way of working, and they are productive, giving value from the beginning as well.
I think there was a question over there. Have you ever had that someone said that this is a solo task? Yeah, unshareable task.
That's a good question.
Yeah, not on our team, because we do pair programming. That's part of our DNA. But we have the discussion often, is that this doesn't need to. This task is too dumb to pair program.
And we don't discuss this in our team, but with other teams.
Yeah, but if someone comes and say that this task is unshareable, then I would say he's probably an information hoarder, and that's not really a good way of working together, at least.
No, we work together on absolutely everything. It's looking at logs, if it's analyzing, if it's PowerPoint, if it's just on task, everything. We work together on everything, because it's not just a task, but it's also the flow, and the knowledge sharing is super important.
Yeah, I have one question here.
Yeah. Loud. What do you think about team size? You have 4 people in your team. How many do you think is sort of a maximum to make this work?
Nils and the researchers, they say small teams are the best. 4 to 5, I think, is the best size.
Yeah.
I can say a little bit how we work as well. If we have 4 people, we have 4. If everyone is present at work, we divide into 2 pairs. If one leaves, then they are 3 on one task. So there's never someone alone on that task, and that's the way we're working all the time. That works very well, I think.
Yeah. And the bigger the team, the more coordination you need. So I wouldn't be more than 5 people, 5 developers at least, or UX.
4 is perfect. I think.
Yeah. Because if you have more than 4, then you need a 5th to manage everyone.
Yeah.
It works down.
Yeah, in fact, I had a very similar question. I'm here.
there, yeah.
If you think this is scaling for bigger companies, or it's more a way for smaller companies to really cut off overheads.
Could you repeat the question?
If this way, the fact that thanks to pair programming, which I think is good for any company, you were able to cut many meetings, knowledge sharing stuff.
Yeah.
This is something that you think that could scale up for bigger companies, or it's more a way for smaller companies to cut overhead?
Speaking of size, I guess we're about 300 developers now. The important thing is that the team can be autonomous.
Yeah.
If your team has a lot of dependencies to other teams, then this is really difficult. And then you probably, if you want to scale up, you should change your architecture or the way you work to be less dependent on other teams. Because then you get into the handover trap, where everything has to be thrown over a wall and you have to coordinate with everyone. And then you don't have independent services. Then you have a distributed monolith, or basically you're working on the same thing.
I think the answer is that it totally scales. It's just working in teams, smaller teams.
How did you persuade the management that this is a good idea? Do you have some metrics that show that you actually got more efficient before and after?
I think
What they see is the quality.
but they see what Sintef is doing as well. Sintef is reporting all the time, the researcher, how these are going. They can report that the psychological safety actually went up. They do surveys before and after our interventions. They go into and just see how people are working together inside different teams. They do a lot of stuff, so they see that this is affecting all the time. It's coming back in like service, when you said in the beginning, we're doing these surveys all the time. They comes back as a point that is really helping us out.
Yeah, and now there's also a lot of literature in the industry, like the DORA reports, that show that this is actually a good way of working. Sorry? Not directly, but yeah, we don't use metrics per se. No.
Hi.
I kind of lost track, so
Yeah.
Thank you for the presentation. Do you have any tips for convincing the team that is very against this idea? Like, you're the only one who kind of wants to do this, and everyone else is very, very against it.
If they're very, very against it, then I would consider changing team.
Yeah, but that is actually a good question, because if you're in a team, it's just you are the only one who wants it, then it's a problem.
I think they're just scared. Like,
Yeah, but a more serious answer than changing teams is that when we started like 5 years ago, then everybody were introverts and pair programming was not for me, and it was scary and people are scary and all that. But what it really takes is a culture change in the company. But if you can convince them to try like a pair programming intervention, just get them to try it a few times a week, then it might be. But if they're really, really against it, then they're probably a bit scared, and then you probably need to get a higher level of psychological safety in the team.
Yeah, it's usually a very good idea to be at least two who wants it.
We'll do one last question, and then maybe you can come to the front if you want to ask Ola and ask it.
Oh, I'm lucky then. Absolutely love your talk. I have a quick question. So in your model of work, how do you deal with production support? And what I mean by that is not when your things catch fire or you have to fix things and you have monitoring for that. But let's say the customer did not expect a certain feature to work a certain way. They didn't find a category for the expense that they wanted to see. How do they report it? How do you review it? How do you act on it? How does it work?
We have several channels, too many channels actually. We have like a customer call center where people with several lines or several levels. We monitor the App Store, so if you actually give us a bad rating in the App Store and say why, then we usually explain it or fix it.
And they have feedbacks in forums also in Mobile Bank for features like that, if that's what you mean.
So,
and then for alarms, we have guys who are watching more over the alarms than we are. then we're watching them ourselves, of course, as well. But all in all, we see that when it comes to errors, when we work together after a while now, we see that we have very few errors, even in big rewritings and new features and everything. But the rework, it's very important. The rework, when you work together this way, it's much, much less. It gets significantly higher value.
Yeah, and when you're working on a new feature as well, it's just we start by starting small with maybe a feature toggle with just us, and then we take a small subset of maybe people who work in the bank, and then a small subset of customers, and before we roll it out to everyone. So we try to get feedback all the time.
Awesome. Thank you both. Have a nice lunch. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.